Hello, my name's Dean Larson. I'm going to take a couple minutes here and show you how to clean up your own family tree. Okay, so I'm in Family Search. This is my login page when I first log in. Yours might look different, I don't know. But what we want to do is get to my my tree. So I'm going to go to the persons first. Okay, and that's going to pull me up because this is my tree. And when I pull myself up here, this will show my information just like it would yours. And you can look here, my kids, my parents. But what I want to do is I want to go to the tree, and then I want to make sure that it's in fan chart. Over here on the left, you can see the cursor here. You can have different views. You can do a portrait view, and you can do a landscape view, and you can do a descendancy view, which is great. But right now we want to do fan chart. Now I can go to 7 generations, and it'll show different ones, but I want to concentrate on cleaning up my 4 generations. Okay, that's all I want to do today. That's all I want to talk about. So if you go to 4 generations, okay, and it's going to pull us down here. So let's start with my great-grandfather. So here I am in the middle. These are my parents, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents. So I'm going to go to George Washington Davis, my great-grandfather. Okay, so I'm going to click on him, and you can see he's got 31 sources, 24 memories. We've got some good pictures and stories and stuff about him. But I am going to click on person and bring him up. So this is his person page that has all his information in it. And like I said earlier, if you look at my mouse at the top, it says sources, 31 sources. We're going to talk about cleaning up this information I have on him. And my brother and I have done a lot of this information over the years, but there's still some things that need to be cleaned up. If I go to sources and look at it, there's 31 of them. Now, it's interesting is you would think if you go back to the dates over here on the right, some of these go back. My brother started in 2012. I added in 2014. He added some in 2017. Somebody else added. I did some 2017 and 18, and then somebody else added some in 2020. Okay. But you wonder, why don't we just do them all at the same time? Well, that's because not all the sources were available. The church has invested a lot into indexing, and the more we index different historical records, it gives us more sources. And so we're constantly looking and adding to those. And you think, well, I don't need all these sources. I know he existed. I just need to do the temple work for him. Well, the thing is, there's information in a lot of these sources that give us clues and hints and lead us to other family members. So it's a gold mine, actually. Sources need to be used completely and always added to as new sources come out. So one of the things I want to do is kind of clean this up. And I liken it unto walking through the graveyard. You're at a cemetery, and let's say I'm at my great-grandfather's cemetery, George Washington Davis. And if I walk over to his headstone's all overgrown with weeds and you can't read it and it just looks really bad, I'd feel terrible. And then someone needs to clean it up and give it the respect that that grave marker and that resting place deserves. So same thing with this, with all these sources. Let's clean them up. The very first thing you want to do is, you notice in the left-hand column here, there's the dates. Well, we want the dates to be in order, okay? Some kind of chronological order. So you need to go through and put them in the right place, because they're not always going to be. And I need to talk to my brother because he never puts them in the right place. So let's just say that we're going to start off here in 1890, 92, 95, 95, 97, 97, 97, 1906, 22, whoops, 1911. So you hover over the little tree, grab it, and just move it. So I'm going to stick it right here in front of 22. Okay, so now I was right here. I just scrolled up. There's 1911, 22, whoops, 1884. That's way out of line. So we're going to grab that and go up the tree and stick it right there. Okay, so now there's 18. Whoops, I didn't quite get it. So let's take this one and drag it down. Okay, so you got to go through each one of these and stick them in the right spot. 1885, that one's towards the very top. And you can see that you want to, if you got that little round circle, it's not going to drop it in. You got to actually get between it and then drop it in. Okay, so then I'm down to the 1930s, 1948, or excuse me, 49, 49, there's 1943. Let's move that one right up to here. Whoops, I moved it too high. Okay, 1980, 1884. Let's go all the way to the top. And if you hold it here, go to the top, the page will scroll up. So I'm at 1884. I got to go further and further, all the way to the very top. Still didn't quite get it. Oh, there it is right there, 1884. So let's move him to right there. 1890 needs to go right there. Okay. So you get the idea. I'm not going to move all these right now, but that's what we need to do, is move them and put them in chronological order from birth to death. That's the way we want to do it. Next thing, let's just pretend that's all done for time expediency. Next thing we want to do is, you see how like this one right here, you see that little globe instead of a tree. What that means is if it's a tree, it means that source resides in family tree, okay, in the family search archives. That's where the source is. It'll always be there. If it's a globe, that means this is a link to an internet site, this source. It might be ancestry.com, but it might be something else. You could link to any website. And it's good to do, but the problem with that is if you can find that same source in family search, that's what you want to do, because you would rather have it reside in the family search archive instead of on somebody else's website, because sometimes those links get broken. People close websites or move things, and I've had that happen quite a few times where I go back and click on it later and it's a broken link and you can't find that source. But for this example here, this is a source from state census. Okay, so I'm going to, but see what happens, I don't know what year it is. See, it says, it doesn't say the year, but it lets me add a year. So I can click on add and it pulls up the source. And I've already looked at this. This is a 1925. 1925, I'm going to type that in. Now when you type in a date, don't just go away from it. Hover down over the date that has the little calendar next to it and click on that. So what I've just did is I have synchronized that date with the formatting that Family Tree uses. Okay, so that's why you always want to hover over it and see it says standardized date. It has a green check mark next to it. You always want to do that. If it's not a standardized date, if I just put a date in there, you come down here and say save. If I just put a date in there and it wasn't standardized, even though it looks right, if it's not standardized, it means the computer doesn't recognize it as the same formatting that it needs. And so when people are doing searches, they're not going to pull up that source because the formatting is not correct. Okay, so this is the one right here I just did, the 1925. No, I don't believe that is. It's that one right there, the Iowa State Census 1925. Okay. No, I take it back one more time. It's this one. So this is a duplicate, I believe. This is a 1925 Iowa State Census, and I think that up here, I found it. Ta-da! I found it back in 2018 in Family Tree. So I don't have to rely on that, but I'm not going to delete a source that somebody else put in here unless I have a really good reason to delete it if I knew it was incorrect. All right, so this one here is a legacy source, so which means somebody added this, and it was my brother. And let's view the source, and it says that this information is because of an individual or family possession. So we know that that's his name. It's my grandfather. We have all great grandfather. We have all kinds of records, and we know that's correct. So I'm just going to leave that. There's not really a date associated with that legacy, so I'm not going to change that. All right. So then let's go one other thing. As we scroll down, we're going to remember put all these in order, and then you see where it says unfinished attachments. The next thing you want to do is go through and look out here in the margin area and find any that are unfinished. It's a new feature. It's added a year ago or so. It's a great feature because you can go through and find all kinds of things that people didn't finish. And once again, my brother didn't finish this. So I click on unfinished attachments, and you'll see what it's got here is, okay, so now this is one I can't finish. So I shouldn't blame my brother for that because it's my mother and her sister who are both living. So I'm going to hover back up here and go back to, now by doing that I've just created a redundant tab. But when I go to the sources again, I'm not gonna attach those. Now, if this bothers you by seeing this unfinished attachment, because I'm not going to attach those for quite a while, you can dismiss them and just say, click on it, and it says you're going to dismiss them, so it's not going to ask you again. They were both born in the 30s, so it's going to be another 20 years before somebody's going to be able to attach those or do any work for them anyway. So, because you got to have 110 years. Unless it's your own family, which they are for me, so their work's already done anyway. All right, that's one of the ways you can clean things up. So now I'm going to click on details again, going back to his page. Okay, and we're going to do one other thing really fast, and then I will call it a day. We're going to go in here and go to the tree for George Washington Davis, but, well, actually, it's going to go back to me. If I go to George Washington Davis and I hover on it, you see that little icon right there? That's showing the fan chart for him. If I click on that, it's going to pull up, he's going to be the center of the fan chart. And this is going to be for his 4 generations going backwards, okay? So it's kind of cool. So now let's clean up. I'll show you one other thing we can clean up here. Remember over here on the right, it says data problems. So this is my grandfather, okay, and his wife, and so these are their sons and daughters, okay. So this is Ralph, and if I click on Ralph and bring up his page, he's got 12 sources here. I'm going to click on him. But remember, we've got showing that there's some missing standardized birthplace, missing standardized death, missing standardized burial place. So what that means is, even though this looks right, if I go over here to the birth and it Polk City, Polk, Iowa, United States, that's the correct formatting, but for some reason it didn't get synchronized with the correct formatting that Family Tree uses. And so it's never going to be searchable. It's a problem. And we got these red check marks here, or red exclamation marks. So we want to fix that. So what you have to do is go into this one right here where it says birth, click on edit. Now, nothing's going to change right here unless, see it says no standard is selected. Okay. So I can scroll down here and say Polk City, and see, you see that little icon? That's the little pin that is in any like Google Maps or any of the map programs. So if what I want to do is I want to click on when it always have the pin on it. So if I click that, now it says standardized place and then say save. It's that simple. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with his death place, San Clemente, California, Orange, California. Let's click on here. There it is, San Clemente, Orange, California. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say save. And there we go. And now the burial place. Now, this is a little bit different. I can click on this. Let's see what it pulls up. If you see if it pulls it up. Okay, so this is Pacific View Memorial Park, Newport Beach. And right now, these are not there's Olive Mount Memorial Jewish Cemetery. He was not Jewish. That's not where he was buried. So there isn't one that's going to be standardized there. So I'm going to get off of that. I'm going to highlight this, say copy. I'm just going to try something. I'm not going to say it's going to work. And I'm going to repaste it as plain. See if it gives me any additional options. And it did not. So if I was to click on Pacific View, it's going to bring this one up down here, and that's not the right one. So I'm going to say none of those. All right, so I'm going to show you another way that we can get this correct one right here, and that is I'm going to cancel this out. I'm going to go to sources, and I'm going to look and see. I think we've got to find a grave already on him, I think. Let me look and see. No, we don't. Well, I'm going to have to research that and find a grave, because I think if there isn't one, we need to make one. So I'm just going to go back for the time being in here, and this, all I'm going to do is say get rid of Memorial Park, Pacific View, CM, California, United States. Yeah, I can't find that. We know he's in Newport Beach, California, so I'm just going to take out that for the time being and say Newport Beach, Orange, United States. It's got the green check mark, and say save. The family tree will allow you to put in the actual cemetery, but you have to have the exact correct spelling of the cemetery, and you can put that in front of it, and it'll still have the pin because it'll have the coordinates. That's what this gives them. This pin mark gives them the longitude and latitude coordinates on everything. So now if I go down here, there's also same problems happened on all these residents and custom information here. So you click on edit, click on standardization right here, that little caret, click down, and this is Polk City, this is Polk, Iowa, and it was actually Polk City is where he was in, but it just says Polk, Iowa. So I'm going to say Polk, Iowa, say save, say, okay, and then Madison is the city here. If I pull up this, it'll say Madison Township, Polk, save. Here's Los Angeles, California. Pull the caret down, Los Angeles. Now that gave me Los Angeles as the city. This was the county. I don't know what city, so we're going to go back to this one. Say save. And then this edit right here. Boyer, Harrison, Iowa. There it is, Boyer Township. Say save. Now the downside to doing all this is from now on when somebody clicks on edit, it's going to have my name in here as the contributor, but it's not. And that's why when it says here, it showed a box, I just clicked through it where it said the reason for making this change. You probably should type in just standardizing information, something like that, so people don't get their feelings hurt thinking that you're taking away their sources, or their information. I don't think people really care. Anyway, that's just some ways to clean things up. So now it's more searchable because you've gotten rid of all those errors. And we'll be able to go in and show you how to clean up the sources and put them in order. Now I'm just going to real quickly, we're not going to do it, but I'm going to click on, remember this is my great-grandfather's son, so it's my great-uncle. If I click on this, he's got some things that need to be attached, and then we've got quite a few that are out of order here and some without a date on them too. So there's work to be done in this one too. It'd be kind of fun to get to, but that's for another time. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, give me a call. You guys got my number. Thanks.